The James Show Podcast.
We're just kind of in hushed waiting right now. The governor is going to start a press conference any second now. In fact, it was supposed to start 5 minutes ago. You're late, Governor. But these government press conferences, 100% of them, and my observation as a talk show host over the last almost 23 years now, they've all started late. They've all started late. So whenever he shows up and whenever they start this, I don't know why they always do this. Do you get to do this at your job? If you were late every day, you think your boss would say something? You think you get a demerit on your quarterly review or whatever? So if I have to just abruptly step aside, I'm just waiting for Garrett to go in my ear and be like, hey, man, the press conference started. We got to go now. So be prepared for that. If I get a good train of thought going and it gets interrupted, it's for a good cause. Well, actually, it might be for a bad cause here, because what I think they're going to talk about, I don't think I like any of this. I've heard Governor Abbott and some reports of Dan Patrick and the lieutenant governor saying, well, in response to the Texas flooding, we are going to make all these committees and we're going to study what more we can do. And we're going to, and before they even say what the programs are, my answer is already no. Damn it, this is frustrating. I can't stand this. Why do we need to have new committees and government programs to deal with natural disasters? Why is that your instinct? Aren't you supposed to be a Republican? And aren't Republicans supposed to be like limit government conservatives who don't see the solution to every problem is through just like, well, as long as we just have one more government program or we spend a little bit more of your tax money or we just hire a few more bureaucrats. Yeah, that'll save us from the next flood. Because what could the government have possibly done to prevent this flood? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, what could they have done more to maybe alert people in advance of the flood? Man, that'd be really hard to do. They were sending out alerts all damn night, starting the evening before. You know, like, what do you want them to do? Do you want them to set up a system of stations, like radio stations and TV stations that can alert you that are government funded and dedicated to serve the government and the people and be the conduit between the two? Yeah, we already have that. It's called NPR and PBS, and they failed too. And that's probably my second biggest story of the day is NPR and PBS are on the chopping block. Last night, the Senate voted to cut their funding. It still has to be approved by the House, and there's a reconciliation package or whatever that has to be worked out in the conference committee. But I would like for at least some of the reporting or the discussion, the storyline here, to include the fact that, hey, NPR and PBS just failed. You're being told that, well, we have to have this because rural America needs, alert systems and they'll be cut off from the outside. Shut up. You already have it and it already failed. Number one thing you need to do is admit that NPR and PBS already failed. I don't know why the Republicans aren't saying this. That should be one of the first things. If it's so vital, if the American people need you for emergency services, where were you in Kerrville? Didn't seem to help anybody there, did it? Did anybody in some of the great heroic stories of lives being saved, it's like, well, we got out there and we went straight up the mountain, we went to high ground, or luckily I got all my campers up and they followed their camp counselor to high ground. Did anyone say, oh man, I got this alert from PBS or I got an NPR alert on my phone and that's when I knew to take action and it saved lives? No one has that story. So if you are kind of making the predicate over, well, all we need is one more government program. No, the 6,000 we already have failed. And I'm not saying like they did a bad job. I'm saying it's an impossible job that government can't do better than the private sector. So of course it was going to fail. It's not like we need to put new people in there. It's not like we need to increase their funding. It's not like we need just a few more bureaucrats or a couple more government programs or another radar floating around. No, we need to admit that that's not the purview of government. That's not their job. It shouldn't be their job. And if it is something that's so damn important, lives are on the line, why would you put it in the hands of the least efficient, most embarrassingly defective system, the government? Why would you do that? Now, for half the people in Texas, I realize you're blue voters or just politically indifferent and you've never put 5 seconds of thought into this. But for people out there who call yourself a Republican, if it's your natural reaction to grow government regulations, government employment, government programs, government spending, then you're not a limited government conservative. You're not a capitalist. You're no better than the Democrats in this situation. What are you? However, if most Republicans in office, and I mean capital R Republicans, the one that's their name, that's where they get their check from. That's their bit. And I'm not talking about the voters. I'm not talking about lowercase r Republicans. I'm not talking about you, unless you happen to be a bureaucrat or elected official. But if most of the Republicans, capital R, in places of power, if their natural reaction is growing government to address natural disasters, then the Republican Party isn't representing you people out there who consider yourselves a limited government conservative. How bad does the Republican Party have to be before you people stop voting for them? And I'm not telling you to go vote for Democrats. My God, they're even worse. But if we don't have either one of the parties that sees a problem, and let me say that in the affirmative, if both of the political parties see this problem and they have the same solution, then we don't need two parties or those two parties. We need something else. So we either need to start a third party or we need the Republicans to change. And I can't change the Republicans. Only Republican voters can change the Republicans. So what do? Well, don't sit at home. Go vote for a third party or start a third party or vote for the Constitution Party or Elon's America Party or the Libertarian Party or whatever party. Vote for somewhere else. So the Republicans can see like, oh, well, these people are voting, but they're not voting for us. And in order to get those voters back, I guess we might have to follow some of their preferred policy positions, which may include shrinking the size of government. It's only if you're not ever willing to withdraw your vote from the Republicans, then they're never going to listen to you. They don't ever have an incentive to listen to you, to serve you, to do what you want. And here, I think this is a great example because they just bent you over in D.C. with the big, beautiful bill. You sent them up there to shrink government or to at least stop the growth of government. Not only are they continuing $2 trillion deficits, they're growing the deficits. They're growing government constantly. So you're getting screwed by Republicans who aren't limited government conservatives in D.C. We just got screwed in Austin with that whole terrible legislative session, and I don't think the special sessions are going to be any better. They're growing government. You didn't get a property tax cut or anything of significance. You didn't get proper school choice. You didn't get some of these immigration reforms that probably would have helped. So I find this just absolutely frustrating. Neither political party wants to stop the growth of government. Both of them want to grow government. What's the difference between the two? Abortion? So I do not agree with the idea of new government programs. No, I just find this super frustrating. I have a cognitive dissonance in my hand because when I talk to you, when the people that call into this show, they say they're limited government conservative. They say they want smaller government. You are constantly betrayed by the party that's supposed to be on your side. And I don't understand why Republican Party voters aren't more angry with the Republican Party. I don't get it. And we're getting a great example here. We're waiting for Governor Abbott to come up and do a press conference where they talk about some of the reactions to the flooding. And I'll be damned if it's not grow government, more government programs. Yeah, that's what we need. We're just one more bureaucrat away from no more natural disasters, from no more deaths from natural disasters. And what happens when that doesn't work? Didn't we already try this? Don't we already have all these alert systems? Didn't they just fail us? And instead of repealing them and returning that money to you and lowering your property taxes and getting all these burdens off your back and stopping, inflation and the rising costs and all this other stuff that really does affect your life, you're paying for this. You're paying for these bad ideas. They're just proposing more. It drives me absolutely insane. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. This is Michael in Killeen. You're on the James Show on WBAP.
Hey, getting right to it. All right, yes, I'm an independent conservative, and I am pretty pissed off when it comes to all this flood response and all that. I'll break it down as fast as I can for you. All right, first, my own state senator, Pete Flores, who doesn't answer personal correspondence, did you bother to pen by hand and send it to him first-class mail, and then I'm supposed to trust that this guy's going to get to the bottom of anything? No, I don't believe it. Second, what we need to do is start holding the city councils and especially the city managers more accountable. We have a system in place to do that. We have the Rangers. We have any number of government agencies that are already getting paid to do this. A lot of this flooding, I wish that if it were up to this, that it would have saved every single life. But a lot of these city councils are redrawing floodplain maps. They're using floodplain maps at least as old as 10 years old and then allowing development to come in. And then where there was once a place for rainwater to go, it's got nowhere to go, and it floods out. We saw some of that up here in Killeen, not as bad as Kerrville, but I guarantee you, if you start taking a look at what these city councils, city managers, who, I didn't have any dealings with that, in the planning and zoning commissions, there's the problem, part of it. large part of it that nobody's talking about.
Yeah, but I mean, most of this happened outside of the purview of city councils and for the flooding that happens in rural areas. What's your explanation for that?
Well, they're still planning a zoning commission at the county level.
Okay. Yeah,
I'm just saying there are bodies in place already, so we don't need to create new bodies that are redundant. So when it comes to all of this, there's the quote Republicans. All right, I'm more or less not forced to vote Republican, but more often than not, I'm an independent conservative.
It's the lesser of two evils, for sure, but you're still voting for evil here. And you're the person I'm thinking of when I was drawing out the notes today. The people that call themselves independent conservatives, you should be mad as hell. You do not have a party that represents you. And I find that totally frustrating because the other, Democrats are like, this is a threat to democracy. Trump's a threat to democracy. You know what's a threat to democracy? Not giving the voters an option to actually stop the growth of government. There is nothing voters can do if no one running for office has anything different other than growing government. I think that's a threat to democracy. That means we're just on a runaway train for bigger government no matter what the voters say. If you can't stop it, if the voters can't stop the growth of government no matter who they vote for, I think that's the threat to democracy.
Well, the threat to democracy, actually, we're in a republic. I have to keep reminding people of that. But when the elected officials, such as you, Governor Abbott, yes, I'm talking to you, Senator Flores, when it comes to this, when you have a person like myself who has on several occasions sent you first-class mail, not an email, and don't even get a response back, I got to be in the $50,000 donor class to
now,
get
Michael,
back from you guys?
Michael, I think ideologically, you and I are comrades. We're simpatico on this one. But you're sending the dude a first-class letter? I was thinking about doing a topic on when was the last time anyone sent a first-class letter because they raised the price of stamps to 78 cents.
I spend my own time and money to complain about a lot of the monkey business that's going on down here in Central Texas in general and Bell County. All right, I sent a letter to President Donald J. Trump with my own personal signature, not auto pen. I also had a copy to distribution list to the vice president, the attorney general, you name it, all the way down to local level. And you know what? All of them alleged Republicans. I mean, you name the department, I sent it. I sent it to Kash Patel and Dan Bongino.
Michael,
on down here, take a look.
Michael,
I haven't heard back from any of them.
I am just one of the lowest level talk show hosts in American media today, and I don't answer all my emails. So I'm not.
No, this was first class mail. Again,
dude, if you sent me a first class letter, I don't think I would respond to that either. I don't know how. I don't even have an envelope. Mike Trainer, you got any envelopes over there? We might have some of the news department. I agree with you ideologically. I don't think the first class letter should
email, telephone. It was like I gave them no excuse to not be able to reach me back. So I mean, they're not listening to the little guy that they claim to be, that they have been as of late claiming to be standing up for.
But Michael, that sounds like a personal grievance because I wouldn't care if someone answered 0% of their correspondence from their constituents if they just would agree to shrink the size of government. And I don't care if a guy answers every single letter that he gets. If he still wants to grow government, I think he sucks. Thank you, though. Matthew in Denton, you're on WBAP.
Man, you're on one today. I can hear it in your voice. It's awesome. But, man, I agree with you. How many times under and I hate to bring this Democrat, Republican, but when there's a disaster or a shooting or whatever, Democrats come out and, tell you everything, all the reasons why they could have prevented this. When it's a Republican red, they come out and apologize when in reality, I'm with you. All they're going to do is snap back to the other end, and try to throw more government money at this when it's a natural disaster. Like you said, one more politician, is that what it's going to take to end a natural disaster? Republicans overreact to one side and want to spend. Democrats do the same thing, except they don't apologize for it. And they're more forthcoming about adding on to it, at least. I'm with you, very much aligned, very, very, very fiscally conservative. And I look at my own company and think, how can we save money by gutting layers and make our company more profitable? People do that all the time, but the idea of doing it in a government is insane to them, and I just don't get it.
I don't know. Who do we blame? I don't even know who to blame for this one. And thank you very much for your call, Matthew and Denton. We are monitoring the press conference that's supposed to be happening at Spur Arena. The Texas Division of Emergency Management started their live feed, 18 minutes ago? But there's a bunch of fellas just standing there behind a desk with their hands crossed. There's 5 microphones that are lined up on the table in front of them. Well, with 4 chairs because the governor has his own chair. Oh, here he comes. Are we about to go to this? Yeah, so he's wheeling up. We'll see if they start in just a second. Yeah, so Governor Abbott's going to be talking about, along with state and local officials in San Angelo, an update on the flood response and recovery efforts. We go live to the press conference now.
This is a breaking news alert from News Talk 820 WBAP.
And now on FM at 93.3.
Responders who have stepped up and literally saved lives. Good, who are at the table with me. I want to thank the leaders behind me who've been working tirelessly over the past 2 or 3 weeks or so to help respond. We got a large number of first responders over here. First responders who have stepped up and literally saved lives of so many people across this entire region. I'm here today to provide an update on the recovery process in Tom Green County. Before I go into that, however, I want to make clear that we're not taking our eye off of what's going on in Kerrville at all. We continue the process of recovering bodies, of removing debris, of rebuilding, and the early process of getting people back into homes or to where they were living. I do need to share with you an updated number, 2 updated numbers. The numbers that I have of those who have lost their lives statewide in this flooding episode in the month of July is now 135. Those who have lost their lives in the Kerrville area because of the floods is now 116. And we will continue the search for everybody in every single region that was affected by these devastating floods. And while Kerrville has drawn a lot of attention, and there's reasons for it, I think it's the largest flood in the history of Texas. And more people lost their lives in Kerrville than those who lost their lives in Hurricane Harvey, just to understand the magnitude of it. But during all of that, we have been focused on what was going on in Tom Green County. And we began working with Tom Green County since at least the day before the storms hit, beginning on July the 3rd. On July the 3rd, the state deployed Texas Task Force 1 boat crews to be here and be available in the event they were needed. And it turned out they were needed. We also deployed other resources and assets to make sure that there would be the ability to respond, including a boat crew that was sent to Brady on July the 3rd, the day before the flooding took place. I issued a state disaster declaration for Tom Green County on July the 4th and requested a federal disaster declaration for Tom Green County on July the 10th. And it was granted the next day. Now, in Tom Green County, we are working with officials and working with the community to go through the many stages of the recovery process. Part of that is helping individuals in the tough challenges they're facing, whether it be mental, emotional, physical, or property or family, whatever the case may be. We have so many agencies at the Disaster Recovery Center right now that are responding to the needs of people in the Tom Green County area. Other needs that are being made at the Disaster Recovery Center are needs concerning individual assistance. That individual assistance is now available because of the major disaster declaration that was granted by the federal government, by President Trump. Also, public assistance is available for Tom Green County to rebuild the roads and other structures the county and city are responsible for. I mentioned it at the Disaster Recovery Center. We have today, but we'll have for days on end, more than a dozen state agencies available to help address the needs of the people in this community. Another thing that we're doing is gathering information that helped us understand the way the response was undertaken here. And I got to tell you, we've not seen a better response in the state of Texas. And there are articulated reasons for that. One is there was a great deal of collaboration at all levels, from the very first minute all the way until this moment in time. The response by local officials was extraordinary. We actually, in talking to Chief Nim Kidd, we consider the way that Tom Green County, and I say the county, it obviously involves the city, your mayor, every local official at every level. We consider it to be a model for the way that communities need to respond to disasters like this. And we will talk more about that in the upcoming special session. But in talking to the officials about why they responded the way they did, they talked about being trained for events like this months in advance, being organized and then executing on what the game plan was, but also maintaining a sense of compassion for the needs of the people of this community. Most importantly, they prioritized saving lives. In any type of disaster, saving lives is the first and foremost thing that everybody should have. And that's exactly what took place here. I've heard so many stories about so many rescues that have taken place. Rescues that literally saved lives. Had it not been for those rescues, dozens of people in this community would have lost their life. And there are others that may not have lost their life, but they were still rescued, and they are now able to move forward because of the fact they were rescued. I had the chance to visit with local residents, and I wanted their input on what they were seeing and experiencing. And some words always came up, and that is that they said in San Angelo we're one community. We are neighbor helping neighbor, and we share things with each other. And you get a sense of the moral clarity and values of the people in this region that provide a sense of resilience and continuity for such a great community. One person mentioned this is neighbor helping neighbor. Others have talked about enduring relationships. That is those relationships that help them get through these challenging times. Going forward, the state is going to remain working with Tom Green County until the recovery is complete. I mentioned a special session. As you know, we have a special session beginning on this coming Monday. And we have two leaders with us right now that will be very involved in that special session on ensuring that not just Tom Green County, but that every county across the state is going to be evaluated, and we're going to look for strategies that we can pass laws on that will make preparation for these types of events better, make response to these types of events better, to make sure that we leave this disaster in a way that puts Texas in a better position going forward than we were before this devastating storm hit our state. I know that one thing that I also hear about, that I want to just mention real quick, now that the storm has passed, the needs for housing have surfaced. And we are working at the Disaster Recovery Center on addressing those housing needs. In the meeting that we were at before coming out here, we talked about the pressing need to address housing. So it's one thing that's going to be happening at the DRC here in San Angelo. It's another thing that we will talk about in the course of the special session that's upcoming. We want to make sure that as we go into and come out of that special session, we are striving to address every need of everybody in Tom Green County before that session is over. And now, with that set up, I'm going to toss it to a senator who's going to be very involved in that special session, Senator Perry.
Thank you, Governor. And can't say enough that you came here, and it shows that Tom Green and people in it matter. And it's not true just for Tom Green. That's true for every Texan, and I appreciate your leadership. As the governor said, I don't know that the folks of Tom Green County can appreciate what was done, that had it not been for them, there would have been more lives lost. And so we're going to start the process this session, this special session. We didn't see this coming on your first call. Unfortunately, God and Mother Nature kind of had a different path, I think, for some of this. But I am confident that we will have a few hearings and figure out where we're at, what can we do better to prevent, what can we do better for mitigation, and that people will leave there hopefully informed, educated, but most importantly, hope. That's the one thing that we can't do as a legislature is put hope in the hearts of the folks that have been impacted at the most deepest levels. But the guy that created the heart can. And I just hope that for those that have that certainty, that I'm thankful for that. For those that don't, I hope they run to that creator and not from that creator in these times that we face across the state. I have all the confidence in the world. The state is big enough to what the governor just said, that not one single person will be left behind when it comes to what they need addressed. And we'll find a way to do it. I wish I had all those answers today, Governor, and we could save some special session time. But I trust my 181 colleagues in the House and the Senate. They're engaged. This is a serious issue. We've been here before as a state on some level. And we will come out shining as Texas always does. But I can't say enough about the leadership at the local level that we're having a different conversation today, if not for their efforts, Governor. And I look forward to engaging them into that process to make sure other communities can see a success story and what it looks like. But we're ready to go to work. And I thank you for your leadership and setting this up for us so we can have something to work on.
There you go. Thank you. Now, Representative Drew Darby.
Thank you, Governor. And again, on behalf of our community, welcome to San Angelo and to the Concho Valley. Your presence here demonstrates the focus of your office and of the state organizations to help this community and this region out in this important time. And your presence is valued, and we want to publicly show you our appreciation for that. NIM Chief Kidd, with Texas Division of Emergency Management, thank you. You have been a presence here often, and that presence is very valued. Sean Baxter, your group that are here with us today are very important. The governor mentioned 12 state agencies. I bet there's a lot more state agencies are involved in the recovery here in this region. I think the governor's proclamation early on has made a difference. I know you have been working with surrounding counties, whether it be Concho County, I think Coke County just recently. Thank you for that. We've got to remember that it's not only San Angelo and Tom Green County, it's the communities and counties around us that are also impacted, and thank you for that. It is difficult when you see the tragedy that occurred in Kerrville area and the loss of life, and there are folks here in this audience that have loved ones that were impacted by that. Our congressman had two daughters that were there at that time. So, this is about, we cannot bring them back. We cannot undo that. But what we can do is learn from it. And I think that is what Senator Perry and I and you, of course, are going to carry into the special session is what can we learn from it? How can we prevent it? There's going to be natural disasters to occur in the future, but how do we prevent this loss of life? And thanks to the men and women behind us and to the first responders for your bravery, for your diligence, for your hard work and dedication to the proposition of saving our community. Thank you for that. And again, thank you all for being here.
Thank you very much. Now, Mayor Thompson.
First things first, thanks for coming here and seeing us. As a voice of the local people here, I want you to know that from the word go the morning of the 4th, we heard from every one of y'all, all of our first responders. Everybody became a first responder. But what was very impressive along this pattern and path was the communication downhill that said, don't let government get in your way. If you need help, let us know, and whatever you need, just ask. That rolled forward for 7-10 straight days. City, municipal, state, federal people all came lockstep together to create a response where nobody was in the way. There were no egos in the room. It was, we'll do what we need to do to get it done. We developed many private-public partnerships, especially with our nonprofits. to let them manage and execute in areas that they have expertise that maybe city, state, municipal government do not, as far as housing, volunteer management, resource control. And they did an impeccable, outstanding job. Our reaction and response was great. Our recovery is going to be how we're going to be judged. And with the flow of assets coming from, say, Kerrville, this area up here, we have the opportunity to move our recovery from months to weeks.
Right.
And with y'all's help and the conversations we just had, I've never been as excited or more confident that not only is that our goal and ideal, it's also y'all's too. It all comes down from state level. Make this happen. Take care of your citizens. We're going to help you with housing. We're going to try to help you navigate a path. Most important thing that everybody said in there was there's lots of things that we need to figure out what those are. Senator Perry, you said let's not have false expectations on what's going to happen, but we're going to execute and try to get everything out to everybody we can as soon as we can. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Now, Chief Nemkid.
Thank you, Governor. And I just want to tell the working media out there, thank you for being here with us and getting this message out, because the first responders of this community absolutely saved lives.
Right.
The local leadership, from the mayor, the judge, your emergency management coordinator, police and fire chief, sheriff, Texas Department of Public Safety, and the game wardens working together as one organization was an amazing feat. If the rest of the state worked like that, I would probably be out of a job. The work that was done here locally is second to none. Then I've got to thank all the volunteers that are out there.
Right.
We went through houses today where Samaritan's Purse and other volunteers were out there cleaning out the houses, putting the debris in the piles that it needs to be. Very few communities in this state have pre-positioned debris contracts. This one does. They're taking it seriously. Y'all are in good hands. Disasters are going to happen, but leadership like this at the local level will make that recovery so much faster. The volunteers that are out there working right now, if you see one on the street, stop and thank them. They're here for the goodness of good and the hearts and their kindness, and they will help you recover faster than any level of government ever will. So take care of your volunteers that are out here. Glad to be here with you, Governor.
Thank you very much. I want to double down on what Chief Kidd said about the volunteers. I had the opportunity to meet with many of them today, but know all that they are doing. And some of them are volunteers with organizations that existed long before this, and some are just volunteering on their own right now. And what these volunteers are doing, both here in this county as well as Kerr County and counties in between, are changing the face of Texas. We would not be able to be where we are or make it through the recovery process the way that we are without the volume of volunteers that we have. And I'll add this. I've never seen such generosity from our fellow Texans in supporting their communities, those in need. And I got to tell you, what you are providing in monetary resources to help these individuals in these communities is going to accelerate that rebuilding process. Every donation that's coming in that I'm working on is going to make sure, is going to someone who's going to be having a home rebuilt or an RV trailer restored, whatever the case may be. We want people back in their homes as quickly as possible. And one thing that accelerates that process are the very generous donations that are coming from our fellow Texans. And with that, we'll take a few questions.
All right, well, we're back live now. That was Governor Abbott at the press conference in San Angelo, updating you on the disaster recovery relief. I think the top headline out of that is you and I just learned for the first time there the updated death toll. Sad to tell you, it went up just a little bit from what we previously understood. It now stands at 135 for the state of Texas, and for Kerr County and the Kerrville area, 116 dead.
The James Show Podcast.